When Swamiji delivered his lectures, his talks in New York, America, that time people who attended those lectures, they saw a very familiar figure who was a distant relative of Ralph Waldo Emerson. So her name was Sarah Ellen Waldo. So she worked continuously, untiringly for spreading of Vedanta. She took dictation, she cooked for Swamiji, she read proof, she arranged meetings, she dealt with visitors, she cleaned the kitchen and the place where lectures were delivered. So she was everywhere doing everything. So she was a very close disciple of Swamiji. So Swamiji had initially given her name Brahmacharini Yatimata. But when he saw her dedication, so he gave her second name, which was Sister Haridasi, means a servant of the God, which fitted her perfectly because she really, genuinely was a servant of the God. Means sincerely she worked for the spread of Vedanta in America. When Swami Vivekananda was new in New York, it was very difficult for him to secure a proper lodging as there was intense discrimination, prejudice against Asiatic people. So when he tried to secure lodgings, living quarters, so landladies invariably told him that they themselves did not have any problem. They did not have any feeling against him. But if they took an Asiatic as a lodger, so they would lose their white lodgers and boarders. So because of that, forcibly, Swamiji had to accept inferior living quarters. Once after spending night at this kind of dingy lodgings, he asked Sarah Waldo whether it was possible for her to cook for him. So she immediately went to the landlady and asked for permission for cooking in the kitchen. After getting the permission, she returned to Brooklyn where she lived and she collected her utensils from her own store and provisions. And next day, early in the morning, she set off for 38th Street of New York where Swamiji stayed that time. And from that day, every morning she woke up early, started her journey at 8 or quarter to 8, and she traveled for 2 hours because that time transportation was very slow. So she came by a jogging horse car. It took her 2 hours every day to travel from Brooklyn to 30th Street, New York, where Swamiji stayed. And she cooked for Swamiji, cleaned the kitchen. And at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or night, she found herself returning again after traveling 2 hours to Brooklyn. And after spending night at her home, again in the morning, she returned. So it continued for a long time. So, and on the day when Swamiji did not deliver lectures, that time the process was reversed. He traveled for 2 hours. He went to Sarah Waldo's house, which was very simple, but there he found peace and quiet. So he was intensely happy there. So he cooked for her the way she cooked for him whole week. So that day he cooked for her, cooked for both of them. And he experimented with different dishes, Western dishes. And he ran from one room to another like a child at play. Because that room was filled with sunshine, filled with potted plants. So he found intense peace, happiness there. He completely relaxed there. And when he was new there, so Swamiji wore his flaming, very bright orange robe of sannyasi. So that time, and he strode very fast in complete disregard for what people thought about him. And that time, Sarah Waldo tried to keep up with him, half out of breath. So she felt intense embarrassment because every single person on the street looked at them thinking who these people were. After some time, she persuaded Swamiji to put on some subdued dress more suitable for America. And one time, Swamiji found Sarah crying. So he was concerned. He asked, Ellen, what happened? Why are you crying? So Sarah told him that it was very difficult to please him. Whatever she did, so he seemed never to be happy with her. If other people committed mistakes, offended him, he only scolded her, not anyone else. So Swamiji smiled benignly and told her that he did not know those other people well enough to scold them. He only knew Sarah intimately. And he asked her, whom could he scold if he could not scold his own? So that time she realized that he considered her as one of his closest disciples. After that, she sought scoldings from her because it showed that how close she was to him as a disciple. So Sarah had sat at the feet of many preceptors, many spiritual leaders, spiritual gurus before that also, in her pursuit of spirituality, spiritual knowledge. So Swamiji was not the first person, but she had always found them wanting after close association with them. So she was apprehensive, she was afraid that she should not find any fault in Swamiji. So she kept a close eye at Swamiji, at his behavior. And one time she found a fault with him. So one time Swamiji and Ellen Waldo were in some drawing room in New York. So that time in that room there was a huge mirror. And so Swamiji stood in front of that mirror, gazing intently at his own image, own reflection, continuously for a long time. And after some time, he walked away, lost in thought. Again he came, stood gazing at himself intently. And again he walked, lost in thought. So this happened 5-6 times. So that time, Ellen Waldo thought that now the bubble was going to burst. She was going to find that he was filled with personal vanity. So after some time, Swamiji turned to her and said, Ellen, it is a very strange thing that when he looked at himself in the mirror, to remember how he looked, the moment he turned, he completely forgot how he looked. So he looked and looked again and again at himself in the glass. But the moment he turned, he completely forgot how he looked. So that time she realized that he was not like other preceptors, gurus she had dealt with. He was at a great level, at spiritual height. He was a spiritual giant who lived at some other level from the normal human beings. When Swamiji wrote his very famous book, Raj Yoga, so it was Sarah Waldo who took the dictation in longhand. After her cooking was over for Swamiji and after cleaning the kitchen, so she would go to Swamiji's room, sit at a table and kept her pen dipped in the ink. So Swamiji dictated her Raj Yoga. So he, while dictating, if some difficult aphorism was there which had to be translated from Sanskrit to English, so sometimes he thought for 15-20 minutes, lost in concentration. So that time continuously she kept her pen dipped in the ink, because anytime the burst of dictation would come. So for hours and hours this continued. So it was a great pleasure for her to be able to help Swamiji and to be so close to him, to be able to take the dictation, that esoteric knowledge which Swamiji explained in such fluid, inspired language. So it was her great pleasure and great privilege to be present that time. And after that, when Swamiji gave very close talk, very intimate talk to his 12 of his disciples at Thousand Island Park, where Swamiji spent 7 weeks with 12 disciples, 12 people who passionately wanted to learn from him. So there he poured his heart, that in-depth knowledge he gave to them, so that they would be able to spread that knowledge in America in his absence. So one of the person who was present there, the lucky person, was Sarah Waldo. And we will be eternally grateful to her, because she did not lose herself, only the inspired talk like other 11 people afforded to do. She also wanted to be lost, because that time Swamiji poured his heart. He was so inspired. He himself said after that he never reached the height of spirituality and inspiration the way he had reached at Thousand Island Park those 7 weeks. So other people wanted to just be immersed and be lost in rapt attention when he was pouring his heart. But Sarah Waldo, she kept her senses intact and took whatever he said, his lectures, his speech, his talks. She wrote down every single word for posterity. So we have to thank her to be able to read those inspired talks. So we have access because of her. She took down in longhand. So we'll be eternally grateful to her. And after that also, so she helped him in publishing books with Francis Legate. And she was the only person Swamiji allowed from his Western disciples who could deliver talks on Vedanta. Because he knew that she was spiritually, because of close association with him and because of her sincerity. So she had that deep knowledge of Vedanta. So she was the only first of her Western disciples he allowed to talk on Vedanta and to conduct question and answer session after Swamiji's talk and in his absence also, and conduct classes in his absence. So it showed that how he trusted her. So she was indispensable for him in dictation and conducting classes and doing everything. She was untiring. She was everywhere doing everything for spread of Vedanta in America. So she died in 1926. Swamiji passed away in 1901 or 02, like around that time. So we should be grateful to her. And without these disciples who came under Swamiji's intense personality, intense magnetism, and they forgot their American ways and they became like Indian people who understood Indian way of thinking, and they spread that knowledge to the people of America, and they became a conduit for Swamiji to spread his knowledge in America. Thank you for watching.